Okay, you have the biscuit layer, which is the organ with the bald head blondie, and then your man with the sort of creamy Rhodes piano on top, and then stiff peaks of the jazz guitar meringue.
Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. It's John over there, Andy, and we are here to dig into some music, as I'm sure you know. And if you don't, there you have it. John, what do you have in store for us today for me to go off and listen to, my friend?
Okay, we have a band which you have listened to before. They are called Parcels.
Ah,
Um, and we have a track called Light. And as a little treat for you, because I thought this would be interesting for you, it's a live performance on KEXP. So you can
oh,
see them stressing their stuff.
excellent, excellent. Be Myself, was that the?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. No, I really enjoyed that track, and I loved like their sound in that song. So yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. It will be great to see them in a live setting rather than just sort of like a recorded, produced situation. So yeah, cool. Let me scurry off, give this thing a listen, and I'll come back and let you know what I made of it.
See that sun burning down, morning light calling out. See that sun, don't look down. Here it comes, feel it now.
Very interesting start. You get these beautiful, like atmospheric kind of keys tinkling away there. And then the drummer kind of methodically rolls across his kit, starting at the hi-hat, snare, then the toms. Then you get this, see that, and there's like this beat hit, and then everyone joins in, including like the other backing vocals, and they say like "sun," and it all comes together, and it's really it was lovely the way they kind of like put that all together. And then it obviously became a much fuller sound, but then they shifted right now into this interesting kind of completely different thing, right? Where it sounds a little bit like, I don't know, it sounded slightly kind of funky, a little R&B the way it came in. But yeah, let's take that back a little bit. And kind of relive that the way they put this all together to kind of start things off. It's a wonderful introduction to a song, kind of get your attention almost immediately.
See that sun burning down, morning light calling out. See that sun, don't look down. Here it comes.
I love this part. I it does have this kind of like funky kind of R&B, sound to it, but wonderful how the bass is kind of expanded on that root riff, starts doing all these like extra flourishes. That your man Skinny, I'm just going to call him Skinny Aaron Rodgers, on the Telecaster, and if you know who that is, you know why I'm calling. He looks very much like a emaciated Aaron Rodgers, killing it with those guitar tones, and just that strum pattern, is just terrific. All of this is really quite nice, and even that kind of like sprightly, hi hat driven drum beat, is an excellent little touch as well. Good stuff.
See that sun burning down, morning light calling out. See that sun, don't look down. Here it comes, feel it now.
Okay, now I'm getting like it almost sounds like something that would have been released like on Death Row Records in the 90s. It has this West Coast rap sample kind of sound to it. The music does. Like I could easily imagine Nate Dogg crooning some hook to a rap song over this between verses or something like that. It definitely has that quality to it. Yeah, really interesting stuff. And I mean, watching it being performed is a luxury too, because you get to see all these moving parts and what everyone's doing, and it's so smooth, but so good. Oh man. Get it, Skinny Aaron Rodgers.
See that sun burning down, morning light calling out. I see that sun, don't look down. Here it comes, feel it now.
Discover.
Ugh, good stuff. I know where to discover more KEXP. Thank you, though. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was really great. That sort of grand, like, is it glissando on the keys to kind of bring it back to that refrain? that had repeated earlier. And similarly, they use that kind of like slightly pregnant pause from the beginning where they hit on that third word. I think it's sun, right? Um, as they begin to deliver that last bit there, and just those organ notes sustaining at the end is a perfect little touch. Yeah, Skinny Aaron Rodgers killed that guitar part too. That was really great. It's really interesting to hear this track, having already heard, was it Be Myself, because it's like they're tapping into two different genres in these two different songs, which is it's that's great. But it's just interesting because it shows you like, and Be Myself had more of this like kind of 70s country rock kind of twang to the guitar work, and even the like group harmonies had a little bit more of that element to it in that song. This, while utilizing great guitar and great group vocals, have captured an entirely different sound, which is more like I said earlier, like R&B, um funk kind of centric. And those are like, comparing those two songs and the sounds captured therein, they're very disparate and different, but the way that they were played, like the deftness of the guitar work in both of them, the way they're structured and sung, harmonies or lead vocals, whatever, they're still akin to one another. So I can understand, like I could listen to both and totally understand that this is the same band. But it's really interesting to hear how, with the same level of confidence and command of their instruments, they can tap into one genre and then seamlessly do it in another track while still preserving like sort of the consistency and confidence in the sound of what's being performed. Like they had command over both those tracks and the sounds therein, even though they're different. So that's really commendable, and I think it speaks to their musicianship and their ability to kind of like write and compose and arrange these songs. This one was even, what added to this one was being able to watch them exercise their craft, which was, a lot of fun to do, and to see everybody kind of doing their part. The drums are splashy and lovely. I love the way he switched his sort of sound and overall technique from part to part in this. Bass player doing some really fabulous stuff, especially when he was expanding on that root riff of the more funky R&B like portion of it. All of them wonderful voices. Love the higher registered voices of the guitarist and the bass player, as they sort of complemented the, we'll call him lead vocalist in this one, the guy on the organ. Their names escape me. I know John, obviously, as we do when we're introducing bands on the channel, mention their names. It's on me for not remembering them. We do quite a lot of these, but all of them really excellent craftsmen, great at what they do, great as a collective, creating music that is varied in what inspires them as far as genre goes, but there's cohesion from song to song because of confidence in who they are as musicians. And so that's really redeemable. This was a great listen. Another great song by them. So that's 2 for 2 for Parcels. Really, really enjoyed this one. I'd love to learn more about where this falls in sort of their discography and timeline, and just more about the band and the track as well. And John can feed all of that curiosity. So let's get back to him.
The Goombay Dance Band is back. So you had to listen to Light by Parcels
Yeah.
live on KEXP, or a variation thereof. What did you think of it?
I thought it was fat. I mean, from the moment you said it was going to be on KEXP, I was like, all right, so this is going to be really well done, on their end. And to be fair, we say that every time about KEXP, but it's not like any of the bands.
It is every time, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like the bands have ever been shit either. So it's like, it's just as much KEXP as it is just talented acts that choose or get invited to play there as well. So, and this was no different. Yeah, this is great. Some really beautifully atmospheric keys kind of tinkle away to start the performance, which kind of leaves you wondering what you're going to get into. And when it's that um, kind of ominous and non-specific as far as the sound, it can go anywhere. Like they could have taken literally any turn they wanted to from there, which is always fun because it doesn't it makes your anticipation that much more I don't know. Go ahead.
Just to sort of color in a little bit of what you're saying here, to give you context, this is the opening track of the whole album.
And that
So
makes
that little
perfect sense.
beginning says like, oh, this album can go anywhere.
Yeah,
And this
here we
track can
are.
as well.
Exactly. Okay, that makes it even that much better. Now knowing that little factoid about it. So yeah, we get these keys, and then the drummer methodically rolls his way across, like starting at the hi-hat, snare, then toms, and works his way off. And then the singer comes in between beats and delivers the line, "See that." And then the beat hits and everyone joins in, including the backing vocalist, as they sing "Son." And the sound becomes so much more full, like just so much more full. And it's bolstered by these other voices, which, as I recall from Be Myself, the harmonies were fabulous in that track. Among other things that I will get to as well. It's funny, there are stark similarities between what boxes were checked in both songs, and yet at the end of the day, the songs are two very different songs that tap into two very
Yeah.
different sounds. So it's odd how, and I'll expand on this, they're different from one standpoint and yet have all these similarities that you're comfortable with if you're a fan of the band and you're looking for consistency. So there's this interesting dynamic that, or dichotomy, that they have in their sound that I think is worth expanding on, and I will. So yeah, they're bolstered by these amazing harmonies and vocals, but also by the guitar and especially the organ notes, which had this like sort of escalated resonant sound to them. And as this motif continues for a few more lines until they deliver the line "Feel It Now," the music shifts and takes on this funky sound with these clipped guitar noodling bits and the funky thrums of the bass and this very hi-hat forward drum work. And the bass then sort of continues to grow as the motif progresses, and it gets slightly funkier and peppers in more of these runs and fills, kind of expanding on that root riff that it had initially introduced when this part of the song kind of kicked off. Also, the brightness of the guitar and the style of strumming are torn right out of the pages of the classic funk upbeat jazz guitar dossier. Like, it's just textbook guitar work for this kind of sound. And it's, I don't know, it's just fun to hear that. And then the song shifts back into the original motif from the beginning with its big crashing drums and group vocals and organ rich sounds filling the KEXP studio over there. And then it moves back into that more funky motif with keys tinkling away over the top, as it's at the point, and it's at this point where I'm starting to realize what it's reminding me of, outside of just general things like this has funky aspects to it. No, this bit reminded me so much of West Coast 90s hip hop. It has this Warren G or Dr. Dre, or I can imagine that Nate Dogg could have sung an amazingly rich hook over top of this portion that was bookended by some MC doing some great West Coast rap on either side of it. So yeah,
With Michael McDonald underneath, yeah.
yeah. Exactly. Or we're really like Nate Dogg is the Michael McDonald of 90s hip hop. You need someone with a good soulful deep voice, pop him in there. But yeah, it definitely reminded me of anything that could have come off Death Row in the early 90s, which was, again, comforting to me because I grew up listening to that stuff.
Yeah.
So this time around, we get treated to some great noodling by who I'm now referring to because I can't remember the names. We've only done them once on here, and I can't recall who they were, but I'm calling the guitarist on the Telecaster, Skinny Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know if you know who Aaron Rodgers is, but if you've ever seen him, this looks like an emaciated version of him. He's an NFL quarterback, but
Right.
this guy is a spitting image of him if he like never went to the gym or ate red meat. So he's just killing it on the Telecaster. He's so smooth, and it's at this point again I'm reminded of Be Myself, even though this sounds nothing like the guitar he played on Be Myself. There was this calm fluidity to the way he played the lead on that song. And though his guitar tone was different and the overall sound of the song was different, there was still this consistent, I know if you're a fan of Parcels and you haven't heard this song, but you've heard the other one and you turn this on, you're gonna know instantly that this is the band that you like because you're familiar with his style. It's like you can pop on a Clapton lead, and if I don't know it, which we've run into in the past, you can almost easily identify it because of the style. These guys have that, and this guitarist definitely has that ability because I remember that standing out to me in the other song, and it's a completely different monster, and yet there's still this consistency in how he plays his instrument that is reminiscent of having heard that song. So really, hats off to him. There's this like he's playing the smooth lead over top this great funky bass. Again, that hi-hat driven beat, and the organ notes. And this part comes to a head as Skinny Aaron falls back into the rhythmic strumming of the chords that I enjoyed so much. And your man on the organ performs this grand like glissando on the keys.
Yeah.
He delivers again. See that, and there's this like pregnant pause, and then boom, back into the refrain as he joins in on Sun again, as they had done earlier in the performance. So a nice little callback to something that they had done earlier that went over a gem when they did with me anyway the first time they did it. So I definitely loved that hesitation, sort of like getting hit with the full realization of the music altogether. Just adds this like wall kind of effect to it. So yeah, great drum fills in this portion as the song kind of winds its way down, ending on that resonant organ note. I really enjoyed the song, and of course the performance only added to my enjoyment of the whole experience. And these guys have this precision to their musicianship that transcends whatever genre or sound they choose to tap into. So, and like sort of what I was saying before, I recall Be Myself having more of this jam/country rock style of twang to it at parts, like especially the guitar had a bit of twang to it. And while this track was more like funk and R&B in nature, despite those differences, it was easy to identify the band because of their talents and their deft ability to command their instruments in their own personalized way. It's not unique as in I've never heard anything like this before, but they play a style, they play true to their unique style, each of them. Like, this is how I play guitar, this is how I play drums, and if we're doing a funk song over here, or we're doing a 70s southern rock like motif in this other song, we're gonna be consistent across the board. And I really respect that, and it's really fun to be able to hold up these two very different songs stylistically and still find elements where it's easy to identify that they're the same artist. So hats off to them for having that ability, having confidence in who they are as musicians to be able to dabble in this sound and dabble in this sound and not lose their musical identity. So yeah, this was a lot of fun to listen to, and all that I just explained is probably what stood out to me the most, other than just baseline. This was a good song that I enjoyed listening to.
Yeah, cool. Actually, you raised some interesting points there. Just made me think of a few things. Yeah, on that sort of point about how they, approach things, I think the easiest way to say it is that this may be their song, may be a story you've heard before, but it's in their own handwriting. That's a sort of probably the best shorthand way of saying it, and that's that's something you either like or you don't, and I really do. They've got a lovely mixture. It's kind of like a blend of definitely 70s sound, but you got like the first album. There's a lot of, I would say, Nile Rodgers influence in there, Chic, stuff like that. There's even one songs go into each other, and one definitely is the start of "Do You Want to Be Starting Something?" It just sounds just like it, and then it goes into something else. I think this album, they've expanded their sound, and it's been like they've been listening to a bit more Barry White, so it's heavy on the piano a bit more, and the orchestration is really nice as you get further into the album as well. Um, so yeah, I thought this would be a bit of fun for you to actually see them and see them play and the dynamics there. And although you don't. He doesn't do it in this. I've got it in my head. I'm not an expert in this band. I just, like and seen a bit of their stuff. But I've got it in my head that sometimes the drummer does sing it, and it may be a bit sort of Ringo. They give him one song here and there. But the other four are singing, and so you get it, and they've all got really good voices, but they're not all the same. So you do hear that range in the harmonies when they're all together, which is really nice. Your man on the guitar's got a real falsetto, and
Yeah,
so that's the one ringing out.
I think
Bit
I
like
even
Queen.
yeah, yes, and I think I even mentioned that I think I referred to the guy on the keys as like the lead singer, like question mark,
Yeah.
because they're all involved so much that it's really hard to label one if it wasn't for the cinematography suggesting who the lead singer was to identify it like through just listening, but also that like those other two, it's almost like the organ, while not having a low voice, is maybe the lowest, and then the bass player, and then the guitar, and they're all, so you hear that layering, that all, and they mesh so well because they're just separated by like maybe an octave each, and so it all comes together really well and becomes this almost this own like singular force, rather than hearing three disparate voices together. So yeah, I
Yeah.
totally.
And on the live stuff that I've seen of them, the concert they did at Red Rocks I referred to before, they take it in turns to be the lead, as it were. And I think it was from the full KEXP, when they do their 3 or 4 songs and they have a little chat with Cheryl or whoever it was. They were saying for this album they had about 40 songs, and they each bring their own one and start to whittle it down in the studio, and that's how it goes. So yeah, so as I say, this is the opening track from their 2021 album, Day Night. It was sold as a double album, but it is really 2 albums. It's even so that's Day, and this is Night. So it's not a gatefold, they are separate records sold together. And I think what's interesting here is Light, it's the first thing about Day, and it's the opening, it's declarative, sort of song. Here's what it's about, and this is the sort of themes of Day and then Night. It's very subtly done, it's not all, but it's just really interesting, and they do have different feel to them, both albums.
Hmm.
So yeah, so we have, as we said before, Andy's reacted to Be Myself back in September. I will put a link into that episode, which has more about the band, how they started, their silly names, etc., and how they moved to Berlin and blah blah blah. Just to reiterate, so I will try and get this right. I'm not 100% sure on this, but we'll give it a go. So Patrick Hetherington, keyboard. He does also play guitar sometimes and vocals, so I think he was the initial singer, and he wrote this song, definitely. Jules Crommelin, guitar, vocals. That narrows it down. He's the one with the wife beater and the dodgy
Yeah.
tash. Um, Noah Hill, bass guitar, vocals. Definitely, he's the one with the little poodle on his head. Louis Swain, keyboard, vocals. So he's the one with the blonde sort of bowl cut who was doing the other keyboard. And Anatoly Toto Surret, percussion drums. Obvious. So I think I'm fairly confident I got that right. There's not a lot about it's really weird because they have quite a devoted following on YouTube and stuff and all the videos, but when you go to reviews, etc., there's not a huge amount. Their wiki page is rubbish, and none of the albums have actually got their own page, as it were. But I've got a couple of interesting sort of reviews. Loud and Quiet website, we're all fond of a bit of that, gave it 8 out of 10, and they said if minimalism is meant to be the order of the day as we head into the latter stages of 2021, pass me by, it seems Parcels have missed the memo. Ambitious and opulent in length as well as genre, the Byron Bay via Berlin Fivesome's latest offering is a lavish 19-track expedition that unearths a melee of fresh sounds and newfangled textures. At times ditching danceability in favor of sprawling cinematic soundscapes, Day Slash Night evolves from the band's 2018 debut, just enough to keep things exciting without losing sight of its signature disco funk charm. And NME gave it 4 out of 5, and on their website, because they don't no longer print the thing anymore, they said there are sonic worlds to be explored within each of Day Night's 19 tracks. Opener Light signposts its ambition by opening with a sparse meditative synth glow before the song gradually wakes from its tranquil state to branch into shimmering jazz territory. Following straight into the sprightly, uplifting keys of Free, it quickly becomes apparent that Parcels are letting their musicianship shine with a more instant live feel. So there you go.
Yeah.
I haven't got a lot more to say, but we've got the lyrics, which are aren't that complicated. So, instrumental intro. See that sun burning down, morning lights calling out. See that sun, don't look down. Here it comes. Feel it now. And then we go into the instrumental break. Then it comes back in. See that sun burning down, morning lights calling out. See that sun, don't look down. Here it comes. Feel it now. Exactly the same. Then we go into the second break, which has that more jazzy and that sort of guitar solo riff. Walk up the garden with a J on, and then back again. And then it's back to the same verse again. See that sun burning down, morning lights calling out. See that sun, don't look down. Here it comes. Feel it now. So yeah, my sort of I think there's a great feel to the whole thing. I really love the declarative 4-part harmonies in this. The bass player is a hell of a player actually, and he's just enough on this, but in some of his other tracks he's really good. He's a very good bass player. I really like the sort of economic percussion in this as well. It's he's really just enough to give atmosphere and stuff without going mental. And then you have this wonderful, if this was a cheesecake, you have the biscuit layer, which is the organ with the bowl head blondie, and then your man with the sort of creamy Rhodes piano on top, and then stiff peaks of the jazz guitar meringue. It made me think, and I'm not really an expert, but from what I've heard, it kind of gave me like George Benson vibes with his jazz guitar for the bits I've heard of him. But, other people will know more about that and probably say yay or nay. But the one thing I really liked was an almost complete, like you say, clip. There's almost complete lack of sustain on any of his notes.
Yeah.
Which gave this lovely contrast to the sort of airy organ work underneath it. And then he's doing this brittle, snappy sound on top. And it kind of fitted in with the wife beater that he was wearing. It had that sound too as well. Like, I told you before, Cheryl. Anyway, obviously, he wouldn't do that at all. But yeah, there's a really solid live performance. You can see how tight they are. I mean,
without question.
So it's just a lot of fun. And it's not a song that's going to change your life, but it's a lovely. I think the whole album actually is lovely to just, particularly I think in summer months when it's a bit lighter and you're feeling, it's not going to warm your cockles in the heart of January / February, but this is definitely a sort of July August type feel to the album, and this sort of music's great.
Well,
beer in the hand, outside, definitely
use all the sunlight and heat that I can get, faux or not, given how damn cold it is. So yeah, this was a nice change of pace, and it was also great for you to explain that this is the opener of the whole this epic, because it really has this lovely introduction to it that kind of is not a super slow burn, but enough to get you questioning where you're about to go, and then it opens up.
It makes sense as an opener now, doesn't it? Yeah,
it does. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Excellent. All right, I shall wrap things up. Thanks for listening to Sunday.
Thank you,
folks out there. Tell us what you think. If you like this, slap your meaty paw on the like button. Everyone should have a like button on the keyboard and just hit it. or you can click, Surely we've evolved past that. It's 2025, which is nearly 8:30. But anyway, please drop your comments and tell us what you think about this. We'd love to hear from you. Anything else about Parcels that you may want to add into the mix would be great. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. We really appreciate everybody who bolsters our numbers. And soon we'll have enough. We'll make it to the regionals. That being said, Thanks so much for watching. I will see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.